Hello, this is a follow-on to my last video, which I thought was quite a good video. Most of my videos, I would say, are mediocre at best, but I thought last video, pretty good. But I mentioned a book that I'd listened to. I'm reading more than I used to again at the moment. I recently finished another book called The Couple Next Door, which was a fictional book. And it was a book about a baby that goes missing, and then gradually an investigation's underway and they find out what happened to the baby. I thought it was quite a good book, pretty good. I would recommend you read that one. But the other book that I mentioned in my last video was Tuesdays with Maury, and it's quite a popular, well-known book. It was published at least 20 years ago, and I don't know if it's fictional. I don't believe it was. It's actually the author talking about one of his old teachers who dies basically at the end, but he's gradually dying of multiple sclerosis, I think. Might have been ALS. They might be the same thing. Lou Gehrig's. One of those two or three that I just mentioned. And yeah, it goes through teachings, what he wants to leave behind, messages that he wants to leave. And the guy who is dying is, pretty upbeat for someone who should be depressed and is immobile, has to have his own arse wiped. Really good book, and Audible sometimes makes books just way better, depending on the narration, but that was a good one. But I learned some stuff, and I thought I'd share it a bit more in this video, how to be more empathetic. Some people are naturally very giving. I'd say someone like my mum, she offers her time as a carer, and while she does get paid for that, she just naturally helps people. She helps me a lot, and she doesn't really have a lot to give financially. Like my dad, on the other hand, is, I would say, the opposite of my mum. He's quite well off, as far as I understand. He's self-employed. He's got his own business that he runs, and I think he does pretty well for himself. He's had Mercedes vehicles and stuff. But in terms of him as a person, I feel like most people would care more if my mum died. That sounds grim, doesn't it? Like I'm saying who would care more of my parents dying, but my mum gives a lot and she leaves a lot behind. Now, this life is basically what you want to make it, I guess. Like, do you want to leave an impact? Do you care if you leave a print once you're gone? Do you want to be remembered? Do you want to make the world a better place? Or do you want to just, play Call of Duty? Nothing wrong with that. It's kind of neutral, I guess. But yeah, a lot of people say, I want to make the world a better place, but it really does come down to what action you're going to take to back that up. Because we can all say, yeah, I want to make the world a better place, but we're all destroying the planet individually. We all have an impact. I mean, now that I'm not vegan anymore, I mostly, if I'm going to eat meat, I eat chicken. Chickens are small animals. I don't like the fact that they're treated the way they are, but again, I am paying for it. My point is that I'm paying over my life, if you want to look at it in this way, and it is an accurate way to look, it is real, this happens. I pay a supermarket for chicken weekly. I probably have, 2 chickens, 3 maybe. I don't always eat meat. But the supermarket is paying a slaughterhouse to basically torture those animals to death. The factory farming system is disgusting, but I'm paying for that. My point is, I'm taking from life there, right? Those chickens are going through misery a lot of the time. I probably should go to a local farm. I do think about going vegan again sometimes, but I remember how I felt on a vegan diet, and I see other people who have had to quit, who were very committed, some of them, and it did become an obsession. And I feel like when you are vegan, you kind of have to have that, and you convince yourself you're eating your Beyond Burgers, your fake meat all the time. You're like, this is, healthy, but why are you eating fake meat? Why are you replacing stuff that you say shouldn't be in a human diet? So I have, a lot of different thoughts about veganism now. Yeah, I'm probably eating hundreds, if not thousands, of chickens in my life. So I'm taking a lot there. What am I giving back? And I am conscious of that. How do you be more compassionate or empathetic? I think a lot of us, like I mentioned, it doesn't come naturally for us. What the fuck have I got in my eye right now? Oh, I can't see. A lot of us, do think of ourselves, and we're almost forced to be that way. I mean, they say it on planes, if the plane's going to crash, you need to be looking after yourself first. Many of us have been through our personal struggles with mental health. Very hard to be there for other people when you're struggling. But at the same time, many of us allow ourselves to feel self-pity, where someone else in the same position would still go out there into the world and do things for other people. And I think depression can make many of us selfish and very self-absorbed. And you're just kind of taking like people's emotional energy. You want to unleash what you're feeling onto them and get them to help you, but when they start talking about them, you kind of sort of zone out. So here's some practical tips, I suppose. First of all, make the intention that you want to be a better person. You don't want to be someone who's just taking. You want to recognise those that have helped you, and you can do something for them. And it might feel a bit false, almost like out of character. I don't normally do this. Am I being fake right now? No, you're being good, and it might, feel weird because you haven't done it before. But if you want to be better, and there'll be a part of you, if you're like me, that fights that. You're like, oh, part of me wants to go around handing money to homeless people and go on, mate. This is a tough time. Get yourself a new sleeping bag. Get yourself some food. Part of me doesn't want to see my bank balance go down. But it comes down to how much do you need? There's always something more to want. A new car, a mortgage, a house, all these stuff that we have to think about. But many of them are optional. I've talked about this a lot before. I've bought a lot of stuff. I've accumulated a lot of books. Too many books, too many games, too many everything. And I've realised all that does is overwhelm you. You don't need a lot. You don't need more than one thing to concentrate on at a time. You don't need 200 books on your Kindle, or in my case, 700. Be selective about what you're buying. I used to buy a lot of self-help books. I don't really buy them anymore. Rarely. If I do, I won't pick up one willy-nilly because I know a lot of them are rubbish. The authors are just trying to cash in. They don't really have the intention of fixing people. They have the intention of filling their wallet, because the self-help industry is pretty popular. But now I look at the author. Who are you that's writing this book to give me advice? Oh, you have some qualifications. You're a trained therapist who's worked in practice for 20 years and you feel like you have some advice. All right, I'll give you a chance if the book, isn't just going to be, hey, exercise, go to bed early, drink water, done all that shit. So when you come down to being pernickety over your purchases, with Netflix and streaming now, do you really need to buy every film? Like, a lot of people, like me, are hoarders. You feel like you've got to build this collection. Like, I really like, I don't know, Toy Story and It, so I'm going to buy them on Blu-ray. Why? You just stream them now online. Just, I don't know, even download a digital copy if you like them that much, because then you can save the clutter. And I know Disney Plus is, about to come out in a week or so. Perfect time during the quarantine. But yeah, you've got all of these different things and you can overwhelm yourself. Really bad idea. Again, I feel like I've talked it to the death, but it's something I feel passionately about because I've spent a lot of money and time on stuff that hasn't made me happy. Be selective. If there's a bunch of best-selling books, which one do you actually want to read based on the story? If it wasn't down to popular opinion or influence of other people and what they say you should be into, I've never watched Game of Thrones. Maybe I would like it, but probably wouldn't, because I can't stand stuff like Lord of the Rings. I've tried to sit through Lord of the Rings at least twice, the extended one as well. It couldn't be more bored, but after an hour I'm like, but loads of people like this. I should like it. I really can't stand Marvel films, like superhero films. They're so boring to me. Like, it just... Even none of them, really. I don't mind a couple of the Batman films. I didn't mind Joker, that was pretty good. But everyone's like, oh, Marvel's great. Like, all these films are always in the cinema. I couldn't give a fuck. And I've gone to the cinema before with friends to try, I'll try and get into it because you like it. Just not for me. Not for me at all. Like, it must have been the latest. No, it was called Man of Steel. It was Superman. I went with a couple of people at the time. This was years ago. I don't know if there's been a new Superman since, but they loved it. I thought, this is the worst film I've ever seen. I fucking hate this film. I could have happily walked out halfway through, just not interested about losing my money. this film is so dull. So yeah, once you've been more selective about what you're spending your money on, because money is something that you can give, or money does allow, you to be more giving. But if it isn't money, you can give your time. And I need to do this more. I'm not trying to stand on a pedestal and talk down to you and say, you need to do all these things. I need to do all these things, right? My grandparents, I make more effort than I used to, but I still should pick up the phone more. I mean, they don't call me either. I suppose I could say, oh, they don't call me. But they probably feel a bit awkward like I do once you leave stuff too much time. I used to have some really close friends. We would talk all the time, but it's been years now since I spoke to some of those people. I'd feel really weird to pick up the phone. Hey, how you doing, mate? You're right. It would feel difficult. It's still an option. If I really wanted to contact those people, I'd probably text them at first and try and build from there. But that's the thing. Just be careful, because one of the worst things is being alone. I'm lucky that I have Ellen, because if I didn't, most of my friends have either moved away at this point, not because of me, they just have. And the others, I just haven't talked to in a very long time. And I've got people I consider friends at work, but I don't see them outside of work, really. So if I didn't have Ellen, I'd be like, bloody hell, I'm all on my own. And then I'd have to try and build up from there. So it's very important to appreciate the people you do have in your life, to strengthen those relationships. Because if you were, let's say, dying, and you're on your own, then you'd realise, okay, it doesn't really matter that I have a nice car right now. I can't fucking drive it. What? And then you'd be if you can just imagine this, and I know it seems, oh no, I'm not going to die, but we are. So let's imagine that you're dying. If people weren't around you, you would probably think, why am I on my own? Why didn't I prioritize relationships? Why did I choose what I chose? And if you're more introverted like me, again, you don't have to constantly be out. I'm just saying, family and close friends, you don't have to have loads. But look after those people, man. And I think that giving makes you feel good. I felt really good buying Animal Crossing for Ellen yesterday, because I don't normally do that, and I saw how happy it made her. And we have the power to make other people happy when sometimes we don't have the ability to make ourselves happy. So if you can still do it for someone else, you probably should. And dogs and animals as well. Go to a dog shelter, go to a sanctuary, do something to support your community. Get out there, do your bit. And you can't save the whole world. Never fall under that illusion that you've got that much power. You don't. But locally, what can you do to support people or animals or whoever that will make a bit of a dent and make this world a bit of a better place? Thank you for watching this video. I hope it inspires you to do something good in the world. See ya.